All right, so let's play this announcement of his VP pick, and then we'll talk about how this VP pick by RFK Jr. has actually, he was already a threat by the Democratic Party, and they already was setting up a task force, has already set up a task force in the DNC to go after third-party threats, in particular RFK Jr. So maybe this is a response to that. This selection, I would assume they've been vetting her for a while, so they may have made this decision a while ago. But maybe it is connected where he knows they're coming after him, so he's getting somebody with deep pockets, because she is the former wife of the co-founder of Google. So she has deep pockets. She's usually a Democratic sort of donor in person, but she has chosen to go with RFK Jr. She is along the same lines as far as the belief in vaccines, in medicine, and COVID. She has some of the same beliefs. Maybe that's why she likes him. But let's listen.
Hey, although I grew up around the White House, I'm definitely not a career politician. I've spent the last 40 years of my career as an environmental lawyer and advocate fighting large corporate polluters and corrupt government agencies and trying to protect America's wild places and the quality of your food, the quality of the water you drink, and the quality of the air that you breathe. My hope is that your generation and that of your children will have the same opportunities for dignity and enrichment and prosperity and good health as the communities that earlier generations of Americans gave to my generation. And right now, I'm the top choice for young voters in this country. I'm also the most feared and hated candidate in Washington, D.C. among the elites, because I'm not bought and I'm not viable by corporate interests or by the big lobbyists. As president, I'm going to end the forever wars. They bankrupted your generation and left you with $33 trillion in debt and gotten us nothing in return. I'm going to bring the money back.
All right. I really just wanted to make sure I included that poll that showed him 52% in that poll before I go to the actual video where she's actually talking. So now let's go to her actually talking, and then we're going to get to the reaction. So let's go to the VP pick, and let me make sure I get her name correctly. Nicole Shanahan is her name. Nicole Shanahan. So let's listen to her speak.
It wasn't until I met Bobby and the people supporting him that I felt any hope in the outcome of this election. As I've re-examined my Democratic Party assumptions, I have seen conservative voters with new eyes too. I have met farmers, I have met hunters who are some of the most staunch conservationists I have ever met, who understand ecosystems better than most. I have met mothers protecting their children who are searching every possible avenue for their health. And yet the Republican Party, like the Democratic, is letting them down because the actions of the party are diverting from the values that actually support individual freedom. In fact, the very failure of both parties to do their job to protect their founding values has contributed to the decline of this country in my lifetime. Maybe that's why I see so many Republicans disillusioned with their party as I become disillusioned with mine. If you are one of those disillusioned Republicans, I welcome you to join me, a disillusioned Democrat, in this movement to unify and heal America.
So that was her short speech, and needless to say, or maybe it should be said, there's broad panic in the establishment. That's not it. And let me show you. Oh, let me just show you a couple of reactions. Circular talk. That's how you say it. This is Kyle Kalinske. He says RFK picked this VP because She has a shit ton of money and he wants to F her. That's some great analysis, right? That's Kyle. This panic is just about third parties in general and a little bit on RFK, but this is Jen Psaki.
And science and all sorts of other things. Right. But I will say, Mika, I was nodding along as Tom was just talking. I think this is the biggest challenge. There is unquestionably Trump has a broad support in his base, as we've just been discussing, and we've seen that play out in the primary. That's the only piece, though, we know at this point. He has problems among independents and problems with an expanded electorate. But these third-party candidates are a huge, huge, huge problem, and there's a number of them. If you look at RFK Jr., it's the name recognition issue, as Tom was just talking about. And there are still states in this country, obviously, I mean, Georgia is one of them, I will name, where the Kennedy name is beloved. Right? Where people may just not where they may just not know a lot about the fact that he is an anti-vaxxer who's a conspiracy theorist. They don't know that yet. So this is something, there is an aggressive effort that the campaign has been working with the Democratic National Committee on to run on this, but it needs to be broad. People need to be shouting it from the rooftops because this is one of the biggest threats to Joe Biden being reelected is these third-party candidates. If you look at Michigan, Mika, and I know Senator Alyssa Slotkin is going to be on later. I almost called her senator. Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin is going to be on later. Michigan is a state where RFK, I think, is polling at 10%, right? And so this is a place where Joe Biden needs to win, and RFK Jr. is making a real threat to that. So it's good we're talking about it. It is a real threat. They're aware of it, but more needs to be done, and more people need to be talking about it and aware.
They are definitely afraid of RFK Jr., and they keep bringing up this. We needed to let people know he's anti-vaxxer.
Science and all sorts of other things. Right. But I will say, Mika.
Do they understand that's the reason why a lot of his support is there? Here's a RFK supporter, and this is real Lori Spencer. It's super tasty that Kennedy picked a strong, successful ethnic minority woman for Kamala Harris' hometown. Nicole Shanahan, a longtime Democrat who donated to Harris Biden 2020 campaign. Damn, y'all, I can't wait for this VP debate. So that is a RFK supporter who's in support of this pick. And let's look at a little bit more reaction, and then we're going to get out of here. There's a little bit more reaction.
And it's the moment that's been terrifying Team Biden for months. Our Robert Kennedy Jr. officially naming attorney and entrepreneur Nicole Shanahan for his running mate as his independent campaign for president heats up.
70% of Americans, they don't want to have to choose between President Trump and President Biden. They don't want to choose between the lesser of two evils again. Both the Democrats and Republicans are looking at those poll results, and they're devising ways to keep me off the ballot. They're trying to keep me off the ballot and to frighten you into choosing between the two tired and unpopular heads of the uniparty.
And Team Biden is launching an all-out effort to stop RFK Jr. from securing any votes. The president's campaign staff has reportedly plotted an entire operation to take down Kennedy. And the liberal media is more than happy to play along.
My view is third parties, they're like cockroaches in the kitchen. Okay, it's not what they carry off that upsets you. It's what they fall into and foul up.
That sounds like democracy.
A vote for third party is basically a de facto vote for Donald Trump.
Democracy.
I don't think it's a smart move to spend a lot of energy attacking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think he's probably a marginal candidate. I don't think he has a big impact on the election.
I do worry that Bobby just taking some percentage of votes from Biden could shift the election and lead to Trump's election.
Meanwhile, Joe and Kamala are finally hitting the campaign trail together in North Carolina. The Democratic duo trying to ramp up support for the administration's.
They go off into some other tangent. The 5 is very unbearable.